Hi there, hey there, ho there. We're as happy as can be. Eddie, Bob, still Bob,
I'm still Eddie.
and I'm Julio.
Hey, how you
Talking
doing?
baseball. Game 1 of the World Series in the books.
Yes.
And it doesn't include the Yankees. The Yankees fell behind the Indians 2-0, came back, won 3 in a row.
Yep. Right.
They fell 2-0 to the Astros, came back, won 3 in a row. But this time 3 in a row didn't take the series, and they couldn't go out and win the other 2.
You got to win on the road.
You got to win on the road.
If you're the visiting team and you don't have home field advantage, you got to win on the road, which is why it's important to play all the right games.
So the Astros look good. I thought what they did against the Yankees showed that this series is obviously it's far from over, but you got the 2 best teams in baseball in 2017 playing.
You still got to win one on the road.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's got to win one on the road to win it.
No, the Dodgers don't.
Well, yeah, the Dodgers don't.
Right.
But you think if the
No,
Astros win,
but what I'm saying is they showed their fortitude. You know, I want to say it's the first time since the Orioles and Reds in 1970 where both teams in the World Series won more than 100 games
Wow.
during the regular season.
It's a long time ago.
wow.
been
So
50.
the Astros
here.
won. I wonder when's the last time that the teams that won the most games in each league played.
Well, the Indians won more than the Astros.
So that didn't happen.
So that didn't happen
It
this
didn't
year.
happen, right.
There were 2 teams that won 100 in the AL. But 2 100-game winners has not happened in 47 years, 47 years. In 47 years.
We may be having technical issues. Let me check. Keep going.
So you've got 2 teams that totally deserve to be there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
And hopefully that now that Mr. Kershaw, I felt like I was in Vegas last night because he was dealing. I mean, he was like Kershaw, like you know him to be.
I told
All the
I
naysayers are done now, saying he can't pitch in the clutch because he pitched in the clutch last night.
well, you do it one time. I mean, but I'll tell you, and it. I don't want to say. Are we on?
I hope so, but we'll know later when I try to edit it if it works.
And it's funny because Kershaw's done a great job, and I don't want to say it hasn't been mentioned or whatever, but it hasn't been mentioned enough. And that is, yeah, Kershaw was dealing. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I saw one game where Lance McCullers Jr. was dealing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came out and the bullpen blew up.
blew up.
The Dodgers bullpen,
Didn't blow up.
No.
I mean, and it was 2 innings. It wasn't like coming in and getting one out. They had to come in with a 2-run lead, small lead, and they just blew them out.
Yeah.
Kershaw gave up 3 hits, and at the end of 9 innings, the Astros still only had 3 hits.
Yeah. Their
And-
bullpen's strong.
And that was the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
That entire first series against the Cubs.
Oh yeah.
No runs allowed, and now it continues, and no hits allowed either.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jansen just looked like, and it was weird. I don't know that he threw a fastball in the entire 9th inning.
Do you?
He like a cutter.
I don't think it's the Dodgers, because I don't think you teach a guy how to pitch in his form. But Kershaw and Jansen both have that just stand there and then just throw everything. Instead, there's not a lot of room for air and whatever. I think it helps you control, but it definitely cuts back on your power. But you can't sit there and say Jansen and Kershaw are short for power.
Well, I mean, in terms of closers, he's not a Chapman. He's not going to knock 100 down on the radar gun every time. It looked like,
But they're not even. It's not even the whole body. It's almost like Kershaw standing there, pauses, and then just throws. It's
Right,
like they're
he's
throwing darts.
he's got a pretty big lever to work with.
Yeah.
He's not a short guy, so he's pretty tall. So he doesn't have to get way back there. I think if you're a tall guy and you get way back there, you get off balance, and that's when you get erratic, and you can't pitch. Well, it's better to throw strikes than it is to throw 1 more mile an hour. I mean, if you
Right.
walk
But
everybody throwing 100,
Jansen's the same way. He's there, and all of a sudden it's just arm, one leg and arm.
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, and that Kershaw, his delivery is just, especially in the stretch, it's just so, it's just odd. And as a batter, I think it would take some getting used to, because the way he comes over like that, it's just strange. But Jansen just I mean, he's just ABC. There's the ball, and it's like you said. It's very
Well, what kind of
mechanical.
magic is there in Chavez Ravine when, the first pitch in 29 years goes over the wall? That's a pretty good omen right there
There
for
was-
tonight.
There was
It was.
there's your interviews where they don't say anything. I mean, they just
Like most.
the coined interviews and whatever. Last night between the two home run hitters,
Turner.
okay, and see it's Chris
Taylor.
Taylor
Yeah.
and Chris
Taylor and
Taylor.
Turner,
Yeah.
the T-boys.
Did you watch any of their?
No,
it was good. It was good stuff. I mean,
I
the
turned
things
it,
you
I
learn.
turned it off
I
as
mean,
soon as the game was over because it was
he
late.
sits
and I
there.
had to
He
sleep.
sits there. Taylor sits. They asked him, and he said, in the entire NLCS, I took the first pitch. My job as the leadoff hitter is to look at pitches and let the team see what the guy's throwing and everything like
Right.
that. But I know how scouting works, and I know that he's going to try to get ahead of me on the count because he knows I'm going to be taking that first pitch. And I was looking for a fastball,
Yeah.
And I got it.
and I got it.
Yep.
And
He got it.
and when someone says that, hey, here's an interview, and the guy's actually saying something that I'm learning something from. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
that's what really, that's what that's what everybody does. You try to out-scout the scouting report. You try to,
and that's what he
you try to
did.
pitch backwards sometimes in games. When people talk about that, about pitching backwards, that's what they mean. Is you don't pitch.
But
what
to
you
know
should.
that they know that you're going to be taking that first pitch, I think that's phenomenal. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
we
then
respected it.
the guy's going to be throwing the fastball down the middle because he knows I'm not going to be swinging.
Right. And Crush-O-Matic,
And-
and he drilled it. I thought it went out of the park when he hit it. It was what, 449 feet or something.
And then the other one, Turner,
Oh,
he
man.
said, Turner sits there and says, he changed bats and he explained it. He had that white 34.5-inch bat, and then his third at bat, he was able to get in on him and he wasn't able to get around on it. So he switched to a black bat, which was a 33.5-inch bat. Okay, and it worked.
Hit the moon ball.
But then he says I hit it. He says, and I'm fortunate. It was 95 degrees out there.
Exactly.
He said, if it was 10 degrees, were you
No,
still
no,
at my house?
no,
when
I
he
was-
said, if it was 10 degrees cooler, that would have been a can of corn to the left fielder.
There
He
you go.
says, day games at LA, the ball flies out. Night games, the ball doesn't go anywhere. And last night it was 95 at night.
So it's like a day game.
So
Yeah.
it was like a day
And it
game.
will be again today.
And the wind was coming. The wind was coming off the mountains and not off the ocean. That probably helped as well because most of the time I would think for night
But
games, the wind
they
comes
all said
off
it
the
was.
ocean.
And then when they were talking with in the post game, talking about the temperature as well. How the ball carries because of the heat.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Because when he hit that ball, it looked. I mean, it looked like it went like that. It didn't look like it was going out. I thought that's a flat to left field, and Joe Buck and John Smoltz both were home run. I thought there's no. Oh, it is.
But then what we've talked about the other part, and we've talked about it throughout, is the year the home run continues.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
We have 4 runs off 3
3
home runs.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's the only
I mean, one pitcher gives up 6 hits, one gives up 3.
one strikes out 11 to the team
11.
that struck out the least in all of baseball.
11.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good dealing when you hold that Astros lineup to what he did with 11 strikeouts. Bob and I were talking before he got here about strike zone, and of course I didn't get to see the game because we had an event last night. So I saw the 8th and 9th inning is all I saw, and he was saying that the umpire was giving him the down and away pitch.
He was.
And
The umpire was given both. The umpire had a big strike zone last night, and you give Keuchel and Kershaw a big strike zone.
you're in trouble as
Yeah,
a
you're
hitter.
in trouble.
It's a
You're
long,
in trouble
it's
with the hitter if
it's
the
a-
umpire makes him throw it right down the middle on a tee, because you still may not hit it.
But if you're giving him that ball just below the knees
And outside, down, and
and
low,
a little bit,
that's 145 if you put it on a tee and you said, here it is, I'm going to put it right here, you hit it. You're hitting 145 as a batter
And-
in that spot. And the ball, in fact, the ball's moving, you're hitting less than that.
yeah, no,
You-
it
you-
was, no, I totally
You can't.
agree.
If you're giving that pitch to those two guys, you're hamstringing the batters. I'm sorry. I mean, it is. It's fair. It's fair. I'm not saying it's not fair. it's fair if it's that way for both teams.
And here and the neat part about baseball, and then the other person. Well, if you're getting that, then why are you there? Because both Kershaw's home run and the second home run were and they get paid for hitting mistakes.
Absolutely, you make a mistake,
but it's funny. I can sit there and tell you, home run number one, I didn't think the guy was going to swing, so I'm just throwing a fastball down the middle of the plate to get ahead because he hasn't been swinging. And then the other two were exactly the same thing. You've been pounding and you've been getting that call. You've been getting that call.
You try to go in,
but you try to bust them in,
and you miss.
Both of them didn't bust them in.
You missed by 3 inches.
In Turner's case, you missed by about 1.5 inches. I mean, you didn't miss by much.
No, not by much.
He was and it's interesting because he said he goes, it was a good pitch. He goes, had that pitch been thrown earlier, I wouldn't have been able to get around on it, but I had changed bats.
Yeah.
And that's what good hitters make adjustments and they hit the miss, and that's going to happen. I mean, if you're a pitcher, that just goes to show you, even the best on their really good nights, if you make a mistake to a really good hitter and they square it up, you're going to get punished.
Most of them get paid a lot of money because they are real good hitters.
They are real good hitters. Well, they're good home run hitters today, as we talked about. I don't necessarily think they're all good hitters, so you make an adjustment and you line that low and away pitch to right field and you take a single. But most people won't take singles anymore. They're waiting for that one pitch that they can yank.
They're swinging out of their shoes.
Yeah. And so you can't, you can't have, I don't know that you can have both ways. I don't know that you can be a really good contact hitter and a really good home run hitter these days because the pitching's just so good.
That's interesting. Yeah, and the one thing, you're talking about a power hitter, I've been impressed the whole playoffs with Yasiel Puig. He just seems so in control of himself, watching, and he's not swinging at every single thing. He's taking walks. And last night he went 0 for 4, but the talent. But he just seems to be a different player than in the past, which is going to help. Yeah, it's up in his head.
It's in his head. I mean, that's what you do. Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're going to have enough time to.
What Yogi say? Baseball's 100%.
99% mental, and the rest is
physical.
The other 50% is physical.
The other half.
The other half's physical. Yeah, you never know what Yogi would say. I think that's one of the things, though, is also we're missing is some of those characters. Puig, while you want him to settle down, you still need some of those characters to be able to push the game along. You still need some personalities that can move the game along.
And that's something baseball is missing. I think you're right.
We don't market those guys like basketball markets their players better than anybody else.
Oh yeah.
And so you can be pretty good and you can get marketed well, and everybody knows your name. They might not know what team you play on. In baseball, outside of the Astros fan base and outside of the Dodgers fan base, there's probably only 4 players on either team that the average baseball fan could name.
Yeah, I don't know anybody would know Bregman from if you don't know.
No, and pitching, and we've talked about it, but in hitting it's the same way. I think pitching is a young guy's sport with very, very short career spans.
It is now.
And even more so. So the odds of those guys that and everything like that, Kershaw. But then Kershaw hasn't pitched a full season for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And his time will come.
And it will come sooner than later.
He's only 29.
Yeah, but that's old.
But that's old.
No, I know.
That's old now.
He's only 29.
Now, and those middle relievers are 3 years because
somebody else is going to come throwing 100. And you get to throw 96, and you can't throw anymore.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Think about
it. But the same thing's happening. Turner's an interesting case because how long was Turner? 6, 7 years with the Mets?
I don't think it's that long, 4 or 5. But he was with the Orioles first, and he was the Mets. The Mets gave up on him.
He was a platoon guy.
They gave up on him.
Part-time player, never played more, and all of a sudden, at the age of 30, to find and become a star. I mean, superstar.
for sure.
Well, he came home, right? And
he's from California.
He's a California
UCLA,
guy.
I think he went to UCLA. Or no, USC, I mean.
And he grew the beard.
And there's a guy you talk about that marketability. Look at that guy. You think they would be marketing him because he has the look. He has that rocker look, that kind of not John Rocker. I mean a rock and roll look. I mean, but he's got that. He's different looking. That's the guy you think would be marketing along with Kershaw. But Eddie said it. You don't have Reggie anymore. You don't have a guy who self promotes. The era of Ali is over, and you don't have those guys anymore who self promote like that. Deion Sanders is one that comes to mind.
That's an interesting topic, and I want to touch on that a little bit more when we come back from
Okay.
the break.
All right.
All right. Thanks for watching.